fully charged and ready to roll. The Elias Mecco Show, CJAD 800.
Oh, one thing I forgot, and I want to thank John for reminding me. I went down the list of the places that I went to on my road trip over the last week. Thanks for all your nice, lovely notes, by the way. It is fantastic to be back on the air here at CJD 800. I did miss this microphone. So I was telling you about my road trip, right? And I left Montreal. My first stop, in fact, was to pick up my buddy in Havelock, Quebec. This is near the U.S. border, pretty close to Lacal. Then I picked up my buddy. Then we went to Burlington. Then we went to a sleepy town a couple hours north of New York City, stayed at a friend's cottage place. Then 2 days in New York City. Then when we left New York City, and John, thank you for reminding me, because John sent me a note about his favorite road trip. Elias, one of my favorite road trips was New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia. Went to hockey games in all three cities and went to Katz Deli and Pat's. Ate so much during the trip, right? That was from John. And I was like, Elias, you dummy, you forgot about one of your cities. So when we left New York City and we were driving to Washington, D.C., we made a particular point. Okay, we're leaving New York City. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. And leave New York, 2 hours to get to Philadelphia. We say, let's go get a cheesesteak. So that's, in fact, exactly what we did. John, thank you for reminding me about Pat's. So we drive to Philly. We get there around 2:30, 2:45. We got parking literally next to the spot, free parking right next to Pat's. And we went to Pat's. We got one cheesesteak there. We went to Geno's. We got one cheesesteak there. We split them to do the taste test. What's better, Pat's or Geno's? Pat's is better, by the way. Just going to point that out. Pat's is the better cheesesteak. So went to Philadelphia, then D.C., then Pittsburgh. I'm going to do a whole segment, by the way, on Pittsburgh. I have some time at 11:20. I may discuss Pittsburgh at great length at 11:20. Stay tuned for that. But now, well, we got our guest on the line, so let's do that. Let's talk about what's happening right now in Ukraine. Let's get an update on the situation in Ukraine. It is day 26 of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The images coming out of the country are nothing short of horrific. And back on to give us the latest is Professor Maria Popova. She is an associate professor and Jean Monnet chair at the Department of Political Science at McGill University. Welcome back to the program, Maria. Thanks so much.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So we're seeing the images. I've been looking at the images. I'm horrified when I see the reports every morning. Tell me, from your perspective, your take on what is happening right now.
Well, it's a humanitarian catastrophe in Mariupol. The city is getting really destroyed. It's basically the next Srebrenica or Aleppo. And this is the worst part of the country. And then there's also bombing of Kiev and fighting in many parts of Ukraine. So the humanitarian catastrophe is really getting worse and worse every day that this war continues.
And when you mention what's happening in Mariupol, I guess your worry is this is a city that will no longer exist sooner than later.
Right. It's been bombarded and shelled for such a long time, and it's very much destroyed, and it's surrounded, and the shelling continues, and Russia is not letting up.
So, what do you think should be done?
It's a good question, but it's a really hard one, of course. The West really needs to. It's hard to say what we can do right now, because basically nothing short of NATO getting involved in this war will actually dramatically change what's going on. So right now, the West is watching, and Ukraine is fighting this very bravely. So let's hope that Ukraine manages to push back.
We're with Maria Popova from the Department of Political Science at McGill University. Any hope for diplomacy here?
The difficulty of diplomacy is that Russia's demands are really maximalist still. I mean, they have They have somewhat rolled back, but very, very little. And as long as Russia demands that Ukraine demilitarize, there's really no possibility to negotiate, because how can a country agree to disarming itself when it has just been invaded? Obviously, and it has been invaded twice in 8 years by Russia. So demilitarization is really would mean just capitulation for Ukraine. So that's not really diplomacy. It's just a demand for capitulation.
You mentioned, an escalation. What would the prospect of an escalation that would involve NATO intervention? I hear people say NATO intervention means that it's World War III. What are your thoughts on NATO intervention? And if that is something, what would happen if NATO decided to go to that level?
Right. So that's the biggest danger, and that's why NATO has not intervened so far, is because of the fear of nuclear escalation. And it is indeed an extremely scary prospect for the whole world, and that's the main reason NATO has stood by. What remains to be seen is whether this war will go to negotiation without NATO's interference, or whether it's actually going to escalate on the part of Russia to other places besides Ukraine, and then NATO will might not have any other choice but to intervene if, say, Russia actually attacks a NATO member.
One last question for you, Maria, and it has to do with Vladimir Putin and everything that we've seen from him so far. What are your thoughts on how far he is willing to go?
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but it does seem that he is highly motivated to be successful in this war, to guarantee his legacy in history as the Russian president who restored Russia's geopolitical greatness and has done the most to restore the Soviet Union, or even potentially the Russian Empire. So he is highly committed here.
Maria, whole world is watching, and thank you so much for adding your perspective on our show this morning. I appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
That is Maria Popova, Associate Professor and Jean Monnet Chair at the Department of Political Science at McGill University.